Building a U-shaped Business with Georgie and Patty. I am Georgie.
And guess who I am? Might be Patty.
Patty! Yay! And we are here for episode 87. Wow. We're almost
Wow.
90. I think 90 is a cake show.
Definitely.
So, mind you, I think I might have eaten too much cake over the last 3 weeks. So, maybe I'll have diet cake if that's such a thing.
It is not a thing.
Okay, good. That's okay. I just thought I'd check. Yeah, so good, so good.
Diet cake is not a hell yes.
It's a hell no. Those are some of the simple decisions we will be talking about today as Patty talks about, when I'm maybe here, when do we say hell yes? How to know when to say hell yes? What's the difference between a hell yes and a hell no? And is there ever a good time to say maybe?
Ooh.
Little mystery.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe there's a good time to say maybe.
Maybe.
I think there is. Kind of. How's that for a clear answer? Love talking about a subject that is, so well defined and clear as hell yes and hell no, because that totally suits my personality.
Perfect.
All right, shall I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Because I have slides.
Because
Slides are a hell yes. All right. Here we go. Welcome to Building a U-shaped Business. And yeah, we do this, in case you're new here, we do this every Wednesday at 9:30 Pacific time, except for last week, which happened to be a stat holiday. Quite possibly, I don't know what's going to happen over Christmas and New Year's. We probably won't be around for that either. But the vast majority of Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. We show up and we do this show. We've done it 87 times so far. And this is all about building a successful business based on your purpose and your values and your personality, and really making a great living doing the thing that you were born to do. That's what we are about with this U-shaped business. And our topic today, as Georgie let us know, is this idea of hell yes. Why are we talking about such a thing? There's this really interesting situation that we're living in the world today, where we have like an unprecedented level of access to opportunities and to possibilities, and pretty much anything you want is there for the potential taking. It's this is a huge piece of having a U-shaped business, is you get to do what you want to do. We can reach people all over the world. There are so many different possibilities for business models and how we show up and how we make money, and we have freedom of choice, and we can find clients and customers all across the globe because of the internet. We can set stuff up for cheap because technology prices have come down. It's all accessible. We can get all of the information that we need for free or inexpensive. We have so many opportunities, so many choices, and it's kind of a paradox. Like, on the one hand, this is amazing. How lucky are we to be here at this period in time where we can do this? And also, holy crap, it's too much. We actually have too many opportunities. We have too many choices. Does anyone else get paralyzed standing in front of the toothpaste selection? Because seriously, what is the difference between minty white and white with mint flavor? Like seriously, we have too many choices and too many options. And so a lot of our clients come to us feeling overwhelmed and confused. Overwhelmed and confused is kind of the order of the day. Like, there are so many choices. There are so many things that we can do, so many opportunities, so much incoming. Like, I don't know about you, but it feels to me like like I'm constantly assaulted with incoming. There's always something else to learn, something else I could be doing, something else I should be doing, something I can buy, something I can, you know, business choices, marketing choices, uh, people, networks, connections, so many things to pay attention to, right? So it's overwhelming and confusing. And I really believe that uh, probably the number one thing that we need to um, develop in order to, have any kind of success and fulfillment is this idea of discernment and knowing what to say yes to and knowing what to say no to. Um, and Georgie and I were chatting about this right before we got on this call. Um, for our personality types, we love ideas and opportunities. We like staying open ended to see what happens. We're not crazy about saying no to stuff. Uh, so this is a very personal kind of struggle that I'm sharing with you today. Is how do we decide? How do we decide in the face of an overwhelming number of choices and options and opportunities? Well, Derek Sivers, you may have heard me mention Derek Sivers before. He's the one that did that 3-minute TED talk on leadership about being the crazy guy dancing. Uh, his advice, I think, is pretty spot on for a lot of us. And what he says, you know, now context. Keep in mind that he's saying this from a position of success with a lot of incoming opportunities coming at him. And we'll talk more about that later. And if I don't forget to circle back to it, I'm sure Georgie will bring me back on track. Um, but this advice is coming from I have an overwhelming number of opportunities in front of me. What do I say yes to? And what he decided is that if it's not a hell yeah, then it was a no. And this is very much about, um, you know, is it a hell yeah? Or like there's the lukewarm yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think I could do that. Yeah, yeah, versus, oh, count me in. I'm there, right? Um, and basically kind of triaging the opportunities in this way. It's a hell yes or it's a no, which means saying no to a lot of things that could be a lukewarm yes. But it's searching for this hell yes um, thing, which of course, when I like, this is one of these pieces of advice where you go, yeah, that sounds great, but like, how? How do we do this? How do, like, it's like, okay, sounds like a good plan, but how? What does this really mean? What does this entail? So I have some thoughts about that today. Um, Thing one being, you know, we've been dishing out this advice a lot lately. Is, you know, what does it feel like? What does this opportunity feel like? And there's a couple of kind of states of feeling to pay attention to. One of them is like this excited, energetic, like, where does the energy flow? Is this the kind of thing that has you, I can't sleep because I'm so excited about this. This is awesome. Like, it's a full body kind of a yes. There's a lot of energy behind it. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a lot of work. Feels like it's going to be, a great collaboration with somebody. So excited, you can't wait for the program to get started. Really want to put this offer into the world. So excited that you overcome any fears you have about marketing, right? Like, it's this kind of, like, the energy is there. Like, it feels like a yes, right? As opposed to spidey senses. Tell me if you've never had this experience where, oh man, it looks good on paper, logically kind of makes sense, but there's this tingling little spidey sense. Call it a spidey sense, a red flag. There's something coming up. There's something inside you that knows that this is not. It's not really a yes, or there's something here that has to be addressed. There's a question that's not answered. There's a bit of uncertainty. There's something about it that doesn't feel Right. Um, just to kind of go back a couple of kind of steps in case you are like me. I was in therapy for 4 years learning how to figure out what I was feeling. This is something that takes practice for some of us. Some people are kind of in touch with how they feel and they already pay attention to that stuff and they know this. That wasn't my case. This was something I had to learn to pay attention to. So if this is something that is new to you, and it seems like, wow, well, that sounds kind of confusing in itself. Just a little bit of reassurance that for some of us, this takes some practice of tuning in and asking, how do I really feel about this? Where, what does, thinking about the questions that my therapist used to ask me, it drove me nuts. It's like, where do you feel it in your body? It's like, describe the difference. What's the difference between feeling excited and feeling nervous? Where exactly is it in your stomach? And of course, it drove me nuts. But it was useful. Which one of these faces is your mood for today? Don't say fine. Fine isn't a good answer here. pick your expression from the faces, right? But it is this ability to tune in, right? And it's something, it might take some practice. But the reality is, like, when we're looking at stuff that, deciding hell yes and hell no, those feelings are kind of obvious. It's like, if you look back on really good decisions that you've made, you can probably recognize what that hell yes felt like. And if you look at decisions that you regret and you look back, you can probably remember having some kind of a sense that this was going sideways long before it actually exploded or whatever. So paying attention to what it feels like, really a big deal here. And not to be confused with not feeling any fear or nervousness about it. And to give you an example of this, I was terrified of public speaking, like completely and utterly. The last thing that I wanted to do would be doing something like I'm doing right now, standing in front of a group, talking to people, standing in front of the internet, talking, to my camera or something like this. And I attended a Toastmasters meeting in 1998 to try to overcome this experience. And it was one of those things that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm standing up at the front of the room, talking, turning red. My knees are turning to jelly. I'm shaking. I don't know what I said, but I know I was there for 17 seconds because they time everything in Toastmasters. I made it 17 seconds, and I somehow managed to get back to my chair without peeing myself. Sat there shaking for the remainder of the meeting. So this was incredible amount of nervousness and fear. It was a horrible experience and it was awful. And I also knew, I just knew that it was also a hell yes. It was like, this is something I want to do. This is something I feel I have to do. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to do it. So we can have some nervousness and some fear. Launching a business will bring up kind of a healthy amount of nervousness and fear and caution. Putting ourselves out there to market ourselves for the first time can be a little bit nerve-wracking and stuff like that. So this is not an indication that it's a hell no, because it can be a hell yes and have this attached to it. And this is one of those kind of discernments that we need to figure out is this kind of a healthy fear that's, a little bit of an obstacle or roadblock between me and my hell yes? Or is this a spidey sense saying, yeah, this isn't going to go well? So paying attention to how you feel is it's a big piece of this idea of hell yes. Justifications and rationalizations and talking yourself into it. This is another sign that is not a hell yes. And if you're a logical person like me and you want to break out the old Benjamin Franklin balance sheet and list the pros and the cons, and try to make a really good decision, it is more than likely not a hell yes. It's some kind of a justification or rationalization. Do the pros outweigh the cons? Right? That's not a sign of a hell yes. This is, especially if you find yourself having to talk yourself into it, having to draw tenuous connections to what you really want. Okay, it's not really exactly on the path. It's not really a 100% fit, but it kind of sort of looks like this, and it could kind of sort of work. And if this happened and that happened and the next thing happened, I guess so. And I guess so is not hell yes. So if you find yourself in this place of talking yourself into it, it is probably not a hell yes. So these are kind of the, I would say that those are kind of the descriptions of what it looks like to have a hell yes or a no. But it's really, um, it all starts really from figuring out what you want. Like, we're going to have a lot, like, it's really hard to say hell yes or no if we don't know what we want. It- it's just, we end up kind of going along, following things that happen to show up rather than figuring out what we want, right? Like, this is the whole Stephen Covey, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, figure out what you want. And this is kind of like this is a heart thing. This is a Georgie thing, right? It's like, what do you want? And for a lot of us, that can be a hard question to answer. It's like, what do I want? Not what do I think I should do? Not what does somebody tell me I should do? What makes logical sense? What won in the pros versus cons decision thing? But what do I actually really want? When Georgie talked about commitment 2 weeks ago, right? It's like, it's really hard to commit to something you don't want. It's hard to carry through doing something that you don't really want. So knowing what you want um, is a place to start here. And along with that, what are your values? Because sometimes values are a really good um, does this match my values? And sometimes this is what the spidey senses are about. It's like, there's something about this that doesn't feel quite right. On paper, it makes sense, but there's something tingly about this that isn't right. It is often a values clash. It's like, oh, this doesn't align with my values. It sounds wonderful that I could make millions of dollars instantly by following this 6-step formula, but it feels like shit to lie to people. It's kind of like, it's like, oh, there's this little catch here. There's a little tingly sense here that says that this is not the right thing. So knowing what your values, not like really important thing to consider. Um, and along with this, we've been on about this with our clients over the last couple of weeks, is this idea of developing specifications and policies, thinking ahead of time. What is it that makes something a hell yes? It's when you think about your criteria ahead of time, it can be a lot easier to make decisions. It's like, here's my list of what this needs to be in order for me to say hell yes. Just, this is the logical stuff. And these are, and these might be policies that I always follow. Uh, that can help me decide whether it's a yes or a no. So, and this is something I noticed from my previous career developing software, doing IT consulting kind of work, is a lot of times people wanted to choose a business program before, like, choose a software for their company before figuring out what they really needed. And so instead of figuring out, okay, this is what the software needs to do, and this is the criteria, these are the specifications we need to have before we make a purchase decision. It was often, oh, here are 3 different things that we can choose. Which one should we buy? And trying to look from the outside in rather than from the inside out. And this is part of the reason why IT projects get such a bad name, is this decision making, because if you don't consider what you want and what you need, you end up with something that doesn't fit right. And it disrupts your business, and it's hard to implement, and people reject it. because it doesn't do what you actually need it to do. You should figure out how to run your business first before letting a piece of software dictate that. For any of my friends out there that are looking for something like an email list, a website, online shopping cart, funnel system, whatever kind of software, it's CRM, whatever it is that you think you need to run your business, figure out what you want and need first before evaluating which one is better. Um, so that you make sure that you get something that's actually going to serve you and it's going to make it easier for you to make your decisions. So I'm going to give you like a really kind of a mundane way that this can show up. Because let's talk about clothing, because we all know that Patty's an expert about that, yes? If you ever heard the 80-20 rule, um, the 80-20 rule of your closet will say that you will wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Have you recognized this? Do you go, like seriously, do you wear the same stuff all the time? Do you have stuff hanging in your closet that you never wear, right? Like there's this 80-20 kind of rule. So to apply a hell yes to this, it's like, what are the specifications for the clothes that you wear 20%? So that you can make better decisions before you buy something, and you can know whether this is something that is likely to be in the 20% that you wear all the time or in the 80% that you wear rarely, if at all. It's like, what are the specifications? And this is something that I pay a lot of attention to. Because clothing and I are not friends. I don't like shopping. I'm not big on clothes. And I have some traits of what's called highly sensitive person. So there are some elements of clothing that are important to me, which includes things like what fabric is it made out of, what does it feel like. And this is one of the things that, I am, kind of developed a specifications list for myself about clothing. And it's like certain fabrics work, most fabrics do not. 100% cotton is a really good choice, but it can't have texture. It can't have like ribs, and it can't feel weird. It can't feel gross. It's like it can't be restrictive. It can't have buttons and zippers and stuff like that, because it drives me to distraction. I can't focus. I work from home so I can wear pajamas because I can't think when I have to wear grown-up clothes. It's a distraction. It's almost like a disability, right? So I pay attention to that, and I have some pretty strict guidelines for what it is that I should buy, that I know I will wear on a regular basis. It's soft and it's cotton, and it fits loosely but not too loosely, and it's a color that I like. Like there's just like these check marks, and because I hate shopping, I'll often violate my check marks, and I end up with stuff that I will never wear because it doesn't feel right. So this could be something that you could practice at in terms of figuring out specifications. Just take a look at your closet and figure out what's that 20%. What is the difference? Discern the difference between the thing that you wear 20% of the time and the thing that you don't. You can start looking. There's 80-20 rule applies to a lot of things, and it can be really helpful to figure out what's that 20% that gives you the most bang for your buck, right? What's the 20% of what you do during the day that makes the most progress? Just trying to, suss out what the most important elements are, what are the things that are really going to have the results for you. So when it comes to, you can apply this to who you work with, ways of marketing, all of this, just have what Georgie and I put together a list of specifications for clients, partners, and communities. It's like, what are the specifications that one of these opportunities needs to meet in order for it to be a hell yes. It makes it a lot easier to avoid situations that turn out to be a hell no. So, and from this, you ask the questions. Georgie gave an example the other day. She took our checklist and she just ran through it with somebody that was a potential partner. It's just like, let me check and see if this is a good opportunity. And these are the questions. And if you don't know, ask the questions. Sometimes those spidey senses tingle because we don't know the answer, right? It's like, if I'm ordering clothes online, I need to know what it's made of. It's like, that's a question I need to know. If I don't know, like, I need to know what that fabric is. I need to know what it feels like. Like, there has to be some way to ask that question. Sleep on it. There's a difference between getting caught up in excitement in the moment and having something actually be a hell yes. So this is one of my policies, is that I don't make decisions in the moment. I always sleep on it. It's like, if it's a wonderful, awesome, fantastic opportunity today, it will be a wonderful, awesome, fantastic opportunity tomorrow when the emotions have subsided and I can check in and see if I really am excited about that, or whether my buttons have been pressed by somebody. Okay, so and it can just be this policy that I always sleep on it. And it can be really helpful to have kind of a line memorized that says something like, it's my policy to never make a decision like this in the moment. I need 24 hours, 48 hours, however many days or whatever, in order to reflect and make sure that this is the right decision for me. And if that's not okay with you, then this is not a fit. Like, that's one of those specifications, right? So to sleep on it. And to have kind of a gracious and clear no, because sometimes we don't want to do something, and maybe I'm the only one who has said yes because you couldn't figure out how to say no in the moment, right? Just like, how do you say no and still be nice? How do you say no and without having to think of some made up excuse or something like that? Is there a way to say no that is gracious and clear, and you can still be a nice person, and you also don't have to do something that isn't a fit for you? So it can be helpful to have something like that already prepared. And another question to look at here in terms of this proactivity is to question whose idea this was in terms of an opportunity. And this we see a lot of. This, by the way, is marketing. Is this something that you're proactively seeking, or did somebody hijack your attention? So a lot of times when we're looking at making a choice, oh, do I sign up for this program or not? Do I buy this thing or not? It's not because, oh, I'm actively going to go out there and look for a course on how to do Facebook ads, because in my business plan and my marketing plan, Facebook advertising is part of what I decided that I am going to do. And I need to take a program so that I learn how to do this effectively. And the program needs to include this, 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 and this. And in order for it to work with my values, it needs to be taught by somebody who shares the same values. I'm not going to do anything skeezy. And you have kind of a checklist. And I'm out there looking for what is a course that I can take, or a consultant that I can hire that can help me with Facebook ads, is one situation. Should I take this shiny glossy course about Facebook ads when you've never even thought about your marketing plan, or whether you're going to be on Facebook, or whether or not Facebook advertising is helpful, but it caught your attention because it offered you something that you actually want in the end? This is if you find yourself being separated from your money a lot, often it's because of this. We're getting our attention hijacked instead of looking for something that we actually need right now. So a good question sometimes is take a step back and go, hey, hang on a second. Is this something I actually am going after? Or is this something, is this just something that's landed on my lap? Or caught a sparkle out the corner of my eye. Um, so we talked about this idea of the hell yes coming from a place of being overwhelmed with opportunities and having a lot of decisions to make. And that often comes from saying yes to things that things were not a hell yes, because we don't know. Like, when we start, we don't know what a hell yes is. And this does come from experience. So kind of the opposite side of the hell yes is the I say no to everything, I don't do anything side. I don't have any experience. This isn't something, unfortunately, that you can do in your head and in your imagination. You actually have to go out and test things. And if you don't have a lot of opportunities, and if you haven't taken a lot of action, it's probably better to go out and try some stuff. And it might be saying hell yes to doing some experimenting. Because good decisions come from experience. A hell yes list, a list of specifications, comes from experience, and that experience comes from bad decisions, bad choices. It's like, oh, this doesn't work for me, right? And it's like being in that place and going, okay, this doesn't work. Why do I not like this shirt? Right? Like, this was me, developing my spec list for my clothes. Why do I not like this shirt? What is it about it that I don't wear? And it's like, that's where I figured out this. This is kind of how it feels. It's got to have a certain feel to it. So this reflection and analysis is like, why was that client great? Or why was that client not great? And you start to develop those specs. What did I like about this course? What did I not like about this course? What worked in my decision making? What didn't work in my decision making? So it's kind of an ongoing thing to pay attention to this. And that's what I have to say. Your permission slip for today is to go for what you want. Hell yes is about figuring out what you want and saying yes to that. And it's about going inside, and it is often about shutting out the outside voices that tell you, that you should do this, or this would make logical sense, or something like that. It really starts with, what is it that you want inside? We have so many opportunities, so many options. There's a way. There's a way for you to figure out, for you to get what you want, but figure that out first. And that's what I have to say on the topic. Do we have
questions? Let me see. Such a good topic. Let us see. Wonderful and paralyzing. Becoming good at filtering incoming opportunities is critical for so many reasons. So true. And I think it's like you were saying, that space of figuring out actually what we want is often not easy. Like, it sounds like an easy question, and it's like, oh, what do you want? I mean, I think about this even for sometimes for dinner, when someone will say, what do you want for dinner? I don't know, whatever. Like, like even simple things like that. And then we figure out, well, what do you want to do with your life? What kind of business do you want to have? What kind of clients do you want to serve? What kind of difference do you want to make in the world? What really matters to you? It's not the easiest question. And I think finding the answer to that, like you were saying, does require going inside. It's doing that internal stuff. It's getting quiet and really blocking out everybody else to really figure out what it is that you want. And then I was also thinking, as you were talking, it's about the conditioning that we have too. We actually have to look under all that conditioning we've kind of had since we were little to really figure out, is it really what I want, or is it kind of a conditioned response of what I think I should want, or what would be acceptable to the world if I say I want that, but really I want this other thing that could be scary depending on, our environments that we live in, how we were raised, our family structures, our social structures, all of those things. And sometimes it takes courage to step into actually what it is that you really want. So, questions on my mind a lot these days, right? This the what do you want, and helping people figure out what that is. And then I think providing that support and that little bit of belief in people that, yeah, you can actually have that. You can do it.
Yeah.
You have permission to go for it.
And I think too, like this figuring out what you really, really want is non-trivial undertaking. Bingo. It
Exactly.
really is. And for so many reasons, right? Is like the conditioning and and sometimes it's like we haven't seen what we want. Like we haven't seen it demonstrated to us.
Yeah.
It's not in our, it wasn't part of our world growing up. Um, yeah, there's a lot to untangle. And without that kind of felt experience of it, it can be hard to know. I don't think we can figure this out from our imaginations. I think we
No.
actually have to try something. And I think, like, I know it's been my journey that figuring out what I want comes from doing a lot of things that I don't want. It's like, this sounds like something that I want to pursue. No, that doesn't feel right. No, that's not exactly it. We'll try this. No, that's not it either, right? Um, but it's clues.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, okay, it's a mindful kind of experiment. Like, okay, we're going to try this. I mean, look at this show. We are here for 87 episodes, right? And it's like, I'm making a hell yeah, my notes for the presentation today, right? And I'm like, the show is like, it's a hell yes for me. It's like, I like doing the show. I feel
Yes.
energized about doing the show. I want to do the show. I'm looking forward to doing the show. But when we started this show, we had no idea. We said, let's do this for a week.
Exactly.
Like, it's not this big old, like we talk about the commitment, right? It's not like, oh, let's do a show. Let's do 87. Can you imagine if we said, let's do 87 episodes of this show?
We wouldn't have done it. We would have been like, no. No,
Oh.
not doing that.
No, so we do just like a mindful experiment. It's like, let's try this for a week.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes, right? And it's, and then it's like pulling apart. It's like, what are the elements of it, right? It's like, like for this show, for me, it's like, there's a lot of stuff on there that gets a check mark for me. It's like, I like making slide decks. Nobody would probably figure that out, but
Nobody knows
it's like,
that.
I like making slide decks. I like putting my thoughts out into the world and figuring out what I think and organizing that kind of stuff. Obviously I like talking. It just, I got over that fear of public speaking so many years ago, and it served me so well, right? Because that was something that I wanted. I knew I wanted to talk and to speak, and here I am. I'm still doing it. It's still a hell yes for me, right? So it's like, there's those little elements of it. But without trying, it's a little like future clients, ideal clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, if you haven't worked with clients, period, you can't know who your ideal clients are. It's like, you need to have some experience working with clients. It's like, you need a little bit of a bell curve, right? Like, you have to work with some clients that were like over the top of the moon, amazing. Those were awesome. Some clients from hell and a bunch of kind of like mediocre clients in the middle, like, 10, 20 clients, something like that, before you can sit back and say, okay, what are the elements of an ideal client that's coming from actual data and experience versus what you believe in your head?
So true. And I think part of this whole thing about doing the experimentation, trying different things, and I think part of that is tuning into yourself. Oh, this idea comes up, let me think about this. Okay, I'm gonna give that a try. But if we think about, as kids, when you hit high school, they're trying to figure out what you'd be good at and what you should do for the rest of your life, at a time where you actually have no freaking clue. Like, the best advice they could really give someone is go try a whole bunch of different things and start to notice the things that you really like and the things that you don't. But often, I think in our society, when we kind of, let's just call it job hop or whatever, it's almost seen as a failure, or you can't make a commitment, or you have a hard time making up your mind. And I look at those things and I'm like, I don't think so, actually. I think, why would you want to stay with something you absolutely hate because that's loyalty or that's commitment? I think it takes all of these different experiences to really start to figure out what that is. And I think that can actually take some time. Um, yeah. What do we got here? I'm getting closer to knowing what I want from doing all sorts of things that didn't work for me at all. I wouldn't have known that without experimenting and making lots and lots of mistakes. Yeah, and it's reframing those things instead of thinking of them as, failures. And we hear this a lot, right? It's just like, what did I learn from this? It's not actually a failure, it's just the learning experience.
Yeah, it's information gathering.
Information, exactly. Just some feedback. So we need to think of what is a hell yes, but perhaps in a shorter time frame than what may be the opportunity before us.
Yeah, it's I was joking. Should probably do the a show on Say Yes to Everything, right? Like, it kind of depends on where you're at, right? Like, if you're overwhelmed and overloaded, if you're doing a lot of stuff, it helps to say what's a hell yes and what's a no. Like, it's a sign that you need to say no to some stuff. If you're completely and utterly overwhelmed, then that's a sign that you have to stop and say no.
Yeah.
If you're not overwhelmed and you're basically saying, okay, I'm going to stay in my bubble until I decide exactly what I want, that's kind of the opposite situation where you have to go, nope, out of my bubble. I can't gather the data I need from my head. I need to be actually experimenting with things.
Exactly. I like this in the chat. Overwhelmed with paying clients, not overwhelmed with busy work.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that being overwhelmed, I sometimes see it with people that are trying to do too much marketing in a way, like too much networking, too much social media, too many offers, trying to do too many things at once. It's not exactly busy work. It feels like this is the right next step in order to get clients, right? Is to be doing all of the things. But if you're not able to do all of the things in a way that works, it's time to kind of step back and be more choosy about that. Because that's how you get to the overwhelmed with clients piece. It's finding some
Exactly.
things that actually work.
It's that discernment thing that comes in again, right? Like, we keep talking about it over and over, and it's just a really overlapping topic, I think, especially right now, because nothing is really kind of black and white. It's not hell yes, hell no, oh maybe. It's context specific. It's really looking at the information and not getting caught up in our own stuff where it's like, oh no, I'm too overwhelmed. Oh, I'm saying yes to everything. It's like, hang on a second. What am I actually saying yes to? What am I saying no to? What am I experimenting with? Am I experimenting for the sake of experimenting so then I can say I'm doing things? Like, it's really a complex kind of thing. And it requires, I think, that space for reflection, to not get so caught up that you're going, that you never stop to actually analyze your data, really. Let me check the information. Let me look and see. Oh, I notice these are the kind of the patterns for me. This seems to be working. This seems to not be working. This is useful. This is not useful. But that reflection time is really, really important. And I'm not sure we often give that the weight it deserves, because we either think we have to be busy, busy, busy all the time. And that reflection period, it's important, because that's where you're going to get your information for making your decisions moving forward.
Yeah.
And you can't stay stuck there all the time either.
I think we tend to fall on one, like we're oriented in one way or another. It's like, I notice this so much with our clients, right? We have action oriented clients and we have reflection oriented clients.
Yeah.
And it's the reflectors need to take more action and the actioners need to do more reflection.
Yeah.
Like, generally speaking, if things are not going the way you want them to go, you need to do the thing that you don't normally do. And I know for me, I am an over reflector. I always want to stop and think, stop and think, stop and think, stop and think, and I avoid taking action. That's me. But
Yeah.
I've also had clients where I often say it's like I have to nail their feet to the floor to get them to sit still for a minute, while we, reflect on what the messaging should be, reflect on what the, what would make sense for a marketing strategy. And it's like, stop for a minute,
Yeah. Just
take a moment, right? And they always want to make a decision on the call, right? They're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, you give it 30 seconds reflection and they've decided.
exactly. And that kind of goes back to that why thing. You know what I mean? Like, why are you making that decision? Can you actually answer that question?
Mhm.
Or just, oh well, because you told me to. It sounds like a good idea. Yeah, no, that sounds like me. But there's nothing really behind it when you're actually digging into, well, why am I making this choice or not making this choice? Being able to answer that, I think, gives you a lot of clarity as well. Experimenting sounds like playing, and that sounds fun. And it is, and it should be.
Could be, for sure.
Like,
It's, yeah, experiment. Call it playing instead of experimenting. If experimenting sounds too much like a lab, um, just. And I think too, it's like I keep reflecting on your presentation about the commitment, right? Um, it's we can commit to an experiment. We can commit to trying something. We can commit to gathering data. We can commit to saying yes to everything for 30 days to see how that goes. We can commit to, I'm going to work with 10 clients. I'm going to say yes to anyone who wants to pay me, so that I can gather data.
yeah.
I'm going to say yes to every service that people ask of me, to gather data. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to, and sometimes those commitments don't even have to be public. They can just be kind of a private commitment that, okay, I'm going to try this. And, sometimes I'll, do this for my clients. It's like, here's a permission slip, right? It's like, if you don't like it, you can end it. You can start it. You can run it as a pilot, and you don't even have to tell people it's a pilot. It's a pilot in your head, and, put it out there, see what happens. And if you change your mind, there's a way to exit. Like, you can gracefully exit from things. You can refund money. You can make arrangements. How many times have we done that over the last 2 years? We're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this seems like a good idea. We're going to try it. Oh crap, it's not very good. We're gonna end it. We're gonna change it. So we just gracefully change from one thing to the next, right? It's
Exactly.
like, it can be done. You always have, new options ahead of you.
Always. Always. And I think that's the beauty of it. And sometimes we get so stuck in thinking that things can't be changed. And most things can in your business.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's and this is the thing too. It's like, can you say hell yes to some kind of a commitment? It's like, what is that commitment?
Yeah.
What does hell yes look like? It's just being able to make that mindful decision. And just, can you say hell yes to something that isn't that full commitment, right? Like, it's like, instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna do a membership program, right? Like, a membership program is like, that's something that can be like hassle. How long is the commitment to do a membership program, right? It sounds like you look at what people offer when they do membership, lifetime access, right? It's like, that is like an enormous commitment, right? Like, if you look at it, like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, right? like, that's a huge commitment, right? So it's like, okay, what's the small commitment that you can say yes to in order to test it out? It's like, yeah, I'm going to do a membership thing. And it's, I'm going to do it for, 30 days at a time to try it out. So I'm not going to sell a lifetime membership. I'm not going to sell a year-long membership. It's like, it's a 30-day membership. Permission to be honest. It's like, I'm trying this out. I don't know if this is really meeting a need. I don't know that this is going to be something that people really want. So I'm going to try it. No way to know without trying. So I'm going to try it. And if you like it, we can keep on going. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You get to try it. I get to try it. Let's see what we can make together. It's like, kind of pulling that honesty card. And sometimes it's just kind of those conditions for the hell yes to figure out, okay, what would a hell yes look like? And remembering that, we're dealing with human beings, relationships, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think, and so many things I think start that way, and then you find your way. And then if you I'm just thinking of some of the things now that businesses and stuff I see that have progressed into something really stable and substantial. They kind of started as, I have this idea. I think I'm going to give this a try. I'm not really sure where it's going to go or if I'll even like it, and we'll see. And then it evolves into something even bigger than they even thought it could be, or changes directions, and gets really, really stable. But they went into it was not really sure, I think. And I think being able to go into things with some uncertainty is a great place to learn to be, to not have to have everything figured out, to not have to have that sort of full commitment, like you say, lifetime, like, oh, that just makes my skin crawl, like, ooh, not a chance, but, and just being okay with, I'm not sure, there's uncertainty. And I think getting comfortable with uncertainty will serve you in so many different ways, but for sure in your business.
You know what? I'm thinking that maybe the better side of this coin is the hell no. That might be the place to start in the beginning.
Yeah.
Is what's the hell no?
Yeah.
Like, values. What a great place to start there. Does this conflict with values that are important to me? It's a hell no.
Exactly. It's so true. Like, I can think of 2 courses I've taken in my whole life where I was like, that was like seriously a complete waste of my time, my money, my energy. And both were just not in alignment with my values for me, right? It was a personal thing for me, but definitely it was a no. And the reason no was, it was a values thing, really. Like, I just did not agree with mostly the instructors, but it was a values thing. And if I had spent a little more time, it was a quick yes, but if I had spent a little more time exploring that, yeah, it would have been hell no. Like, hell no. But yeah, I think that's a really good place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the values can really help to sift stuff out quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is not in alignment.
And then having the courage when you recognize that it's not in alignment to just be like, nope. That's okay. We have a Facebook comment. Yes, I have found many times by starting to list what I don't want has then allowed me to gain clarity on what I do want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. So true. Now you have to do a hell no show.
Yeah. If I had a do-over, I think I would have made this the hell no show.
Guess what? You can have a do-over. I give you permission to do a do-over. Because
I actually think both are really valid, and I wish I could find it, but I searched through my slides. I could not find it, but I gave a presentation on this at one point where I read something about maybes, like in terms of selling and marketing and stuff like that. The maybes are no. Um, and it's like, stop trying to convince the maybes, stop believing that the maybes are going to buy from you. And like, it's just this really relevant kind of situation. We have a lot of choice, and a maybe is a no, because there's going to be a yes out there somewhere that's a better fit. So you're better off in terms of your sales and marketing to be as clear as possible about how you can be a hell yes for your clients, and to focus on being a hell yes and having people enthusiastically want to buy from you, versus kind of, maybe I have to think about it. And this is something I've been aware of too. It's like, sometimes clients, like, just the way they respond to me, potential clients or whatever, it's like I can just tell. It's like, okay, this is a hell yes situation. It's like they're very excited about working with me, right? They're very, we're very excited about everything, right? For the right reasons. Versus, the question is like, well, if I don't like it, can I quit, right? And it's kind of like, if I don't like it, can I quit? It's not a hell yes.
No, exactly. Exactly. And how often do we, we're like, oh, well, sure. Well, yeah, you can quit if you want. You can do this, because we're so desperate almost to get them to work with us. When really, if we look at wanting that hell yes from both places, like, I want it to be a hell yes, and I want the client to have a hell yes, because that environment's going to be awesome. Like, that's an awesome working agreement.
Yeah.
For
It's one
sure.
of those, it's kind of one of those places too, where it's like, you know, even just pointing it out, it's like, okay, so you're asking about quitting already. We haven't even started. Like, this is seeming like this is not a hell yes for you. Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's go there, because I'm not so sure with this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because a lot of
so
times it's
true.
like, it's the asking the questions. It's like, what's the elephant in the room here? What's happening here that we're not talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, the conversation, and not from that skeezy place of, because I've seen this with some, like, marketers and sales conversations too, where it's like, well, tell me then, what would make this a hell yes for you? What would make you be all in? But it's done from that space of more of trying to manipulate what the answer is, and not from that place of actual discovery and creating that space where they could say, what my real problem is this. Here's why I'm really not sure. And sometimes it could be a valid thing. Sometimes it could be that they're just afraid. Maybe, who knows. But I think it's that being able to create that space to have the open, honest conversation, and not kind of the fishing expedition, so that you can manipulate with some tactics just to get them to sign up.
Yeah.
Because that's gross.
And I think that comes down to an intention too, right? Because I think it could be of really good
Totally.
service to both people to explore why it's a no.
Yes, totally. Absolutely.
Because it's going to give you information as well, right? The last thing you want is a client that's not a client, right? Like, that they're not into it and they want to
Exactly.
quit and they don't get results and they're not happy. Like, that doesn't do anything positive for your business. Like,
No.
nothing at all. But having an exploratory conversation where you figure out why it's a no can help you develop better marketing material, better messaging, to make it clearer to people before that you have a conversation that it's a no. Makes me think of Tad Hargrave, that has an Are You Sure page for his more expensive programs, right? It's like it's like, you can't just go buy now. It's like, you go buy now and you get a page that says, "Are you sure?" With some questions to make sure that
That's
people are
awesome.
not feeling unduly pressured or whatever. It's just and I thought, wow, it's almost like anti-marketing, but in a way, it's going to strengthen the yes into a hell yes, or it's going to, be of service to the people who are, feeling kind of, excited in the moment, but it's not really a good fit. So I thought it was I thought it was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. But it's smart. Right.
It's super smart. Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Go for the hell yes.
Go for the hell yes. And on that note,
It's hell yes
we will
to
definitely
we're 2 minutes over time.
hell yes to next week. Hell
Hell
yes to
yes
2
next
minutes
week.
over time. Hell yes to we'll be back next week. Next week we're
Talking
going to talk
about
about the power of purpose in your business, the importance of that, and how having a purpose and using it in your business will actually help you. So we're going to chit chat about that next week. And yeah, that's that. That's a wrap.
okie dokie. Have a wonderful week. See you back here next week. Same bad time.
Same bad channel.
Bye now.